My name is Andrea Burns, Director of Age Friendly Boston, an initiative within the City of Boston's Age Strong Commission. Thank you so much for joining us for Celebrating What Unites Us. Celebrating What Unites Us is a partnership of our commission, the Armenian Heritage Park on the Greenway, and Oldways, a nonprofit inspiring people to embrace the traditional food of our ancestors. Today, you are in for a very special treat. Catherine Katz will be teaching our class today, focused on Italian and specifically Sicilian cooking. Catherine and her husband, David, who is a world-renowned doctor and nutritionist, were hosts at the Oldways Culinary in 2018 in Sicily. Catherine has an avid following on her website, Cuisinicity.com. This demonstration has been pre-recorded with footage from the culinary tour included, but Catherine will be available for the question and answer session afterwards. So stick around. Enjoy the class, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And now I'm going to turn it over to Catherine to say a few words before we start the class.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here and very honored. Those of you who know me know I'm not Italian. I am French, but I was born in North Africa at a time that it was in Algeria, when it was a French colony. And right after the independence of Algeria, I moved to the south of France, where I lived and I was raised for 14 years. And at that time, I came to the United States. So I was always around the Mediterranean, and my culture, my family, my love of that cooking is what comes to life. And when I was invited by Oldways to Sicily with my husband, I felt at home, because Sicilian cooking has a lot of the Greek, Arabic, French, Spanish influence in the cuisine, and Mediterranean cuisine is just wonderful. So I hope you enjoy. Give me lots of questions for afterwards, and I'll be here.
Oh, sole mio! It's pasta fagioli tonight, a little Italian. This is such an easy go-to recipe when you don't even have time, you don't know what to make. My kids love to make it in college for their friends in the common kitchen, because it's cheap, it's delicious, and it's all in one pot. So I'm going to show you. And you can, do a variation on the theme. But basically, what it is little olive oil. Get this out of there. This is my beautiful pasta. I thought I should have a beautiful pasta container. So a little olive oil, not too much, a tablespoon. I'm gonna let it get going a little bit, because I'm gonna put the garlic and it's gonna sizzle and smell wonderful. So what it is garlic. Then I'm going to saute some mushrooms. Then when it's a little hot, throw a ton of spinach, fresh spinach. You can use baby spinach or regular spinach. I like to get it all pre-washed, so I don't have to worry about it. And it looks like a lot, and it is a lot. And nutrition-wise, it's a lot, which is great for you. But in terms of the sauce, it's gonna disappear into the sauce, and it's gonna really collapse. So it's not too much, you'll see. Then beans for wonderful protein and filling, great for students because very filling. Some Kalamata olives for that wonderful little Italian flair. A little fresh thyme. That's it. Then, there, it's going. So, no sole mio, la la. Smell. Here, of course, I smell. So, wonderful mushrooms. I was going to say something. Yes, and then for pasta, I don't know this brand particularly, but what I love to use for pasta is whole grain pasta, whole wheat. There are other kinds, but just you want to have some fiber in your pasta, and it's delicious. It took me a little getting used to because I'm such a used to the white spaghetti, and but if you know how to cook it al dente, not too much, not too mushy, and have a wonderful sauce over it, it's just as delicious, and it is more nutritious for you. So, this is my mushrooms. Again, it is too bad I cannot activate this and speed up this process so you could see how quickly this is all done. But in the time that I'm going to be talking to you, it's going to be basically ready. So let it go. Let it get a little soft. Not too patient. I'm going to keep it, not do that. I'm going to put all that spinach in there. You will be amazed. Again, it looks like, how could you put this much? Don't you worry. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a lid to make sure that it just to show you how quickly it's going to come down. So, let's start while you're waiting. The tomato sauce. I use a marinara sauce from the supermarket. Again, you can make it from scratch, but the point of this dish is that I just want to throw it on the stove and be done. So I use a marinara sauce from the supermarket, and the only thing that you have to be sure is read the ingredients. Make sure there's no sugar in there. Nobody needs sugar in pasta sauce. And yet there's a lot of pasta sauces that have, marinara sauces that have added sugar. Save the sugar for the dessert where you'd like it. Just look quickly, see if there is what there is in there. If there is sugar, just step away from the box and nobody will get hurt. This one, what does it have? It has Italian tomatoes, pure olive oil, fresh onions, salt, fresh garlic, fresh basil, black pepper, and oregano. This one is a little expensive, but I know others, I love Wholesome Goodness. They make a very nice marinara sauce, a lot less expensive. Just whatever your budget is, just pick one without sugar. Save the sugar for your dessert. And I'll make a post about that. Everything in its place, sugar, not too much in the dessert, but certainly not in your pasta and your entrees. Okay, look at this already. It's ridiculous. Look at this, right? So when it's about this level, you're going to add the rest of the ingredients. The beans, cannellini beans, the olives, pitted or not, and the sauce. La 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 la. So mix it. And this is it. This is my whole dinner. It is so delicious. It's simple, but what makes it delicious is all these are all wonderful, wholesome ingredients that give it that wonderful Italian flavor. I like a little fresh thyme. If you don't have fresh, use dry. I put a little bay leaf. I don't know where this one. A little salt, which I will put, after I get off the video, little pepper, and look at this. It's done. It is done. Serve this over whole grain pasta. You have yourself a meal. Buon appetito! This is arancini with chickpea, wild fennel, and pistachio. Che buono! Oh, so it's a kind of a spongy piece.
Yeah. Please. Grazie.
And it's just bread, spongy bread with tomatoes and grazie. Caccini is mashed potatoes with fresh mint. Tu as vu ça? Goûte ça, goûte ça avec de la menthe. C'est ça? C'est délicieux. Bon.
All right, today my Mediterranean couscous salad, and I'm particularly excited to show it to you because what better time to invite my Tati Dandan, the very one who taught me everything I know, my aunt from the Mediterranean herself, Tati. She came to visit today, this next couple of weeks. This is Tati, my Tati. She taught me everything I know.
Merci Catherine, vraiment, l'élève a dépassé son maître.
Oh, t'es gentil. Oh my goodness. She says that I've gone above the master and the teacher. I don't think so. She's amazing. But today, on va faire la salade méditerranéenne de couscous qui est très très facile. So it's going to be a little bilingual because we only speak French together, of course. So, le couscous, whole wheat couscous, 1 cup only for this huge salad. C'est incroyable. C'est rien qu'un
C'est pas possible. C'est tout?
C'est tout. Et cru. Raw. Dry. You don't cook anything. And believe me, it'll work. So 1 cup. Un cup.
Un cup.
Voilà. Then, and this is the difficulty of this whole thing. Juice of 1 orange. Juice of 1 lemon. Turmeric with a little salt. And olive oil. So listen, watch this. Orange juice. Lemon juice.
C'est magnifique.
The colors too are just beautiful.
C'est magnifique.
And then a little olive oil.
Wow.
Et regarde. Voilà, c'est just. Tu vois,
Oh, c'est formidable.
Je
C'est pas
t'assure.
possible.
Non, je t'assure. Et tu crois que ça va pas être assez fait? C'est parfait.
Oh.
Really, you think there's no way this is dry. How can it? By the time I'm going to leave it in here for 10 minutes. By the time you cut all this up, usually I cut it up at the last minute. 10 minutes. You put it in there. It's ready.
Je ne peux pas le croire.
Oui, non, c'est vrai. Et chaque grain devient individuellement délicieux. Je veux dire, il n'est pas clumpy, je ne sais pas comment dire en français.
Bouilli.
Oui,
Ouais.
non, parce qu'il n'y a pas de.
Voilà. Formidable.
So, you saw the dressing, nothing. C'est comme ça. Si tu veux le remuer,
Oui,
une fois.
Une fois.
C'est tout. Rien qu'une fois.
Oh.
Pour intégrer.
C'est formidable.
Que ça soit bien fait.
C'est formidable.
So, here it is. See, that's it. While it's happening, tu le mets de côté, c'est fini.
C'est formidable.
Bon, then you cut up all this stuff. We did it ahead. Tati did it.
Thank you.
Et on va mettre le couscous. Ça y est, je l'ai déjà
Tu l'as
mis.
mis.
On va mettre donc
Oh.
après, at the end, once we leave it for 10 minutes, we don't do a thing. We leave it aside. 10 minutes later, I'm going to put beautiful
Oh, oui, c'est
red, yellow, green, red, just beautiful orange, raw peppers, tomatoes, des tomates, des artichauts, artichokes that are marinated, but then drained. Je les fais mariner, je les laisse mariner, mais après j'enlève l'huile.
C'est ça.
Faut pas que ça soit trop graisseux, mais c'est bon comme ça. Des chickpeas, comment on dit des chickpeas?
C'est des pois chiches.
Ah, des pois chiches.
Des pois chiches.
On va mettre des pois chiches. On va mettre du basilic frais. Fresh basil. It's weird to speak French and English at the same time. And then we're going to finish up with, comment ça s'appelle? Des graines de tournesol.
Le tournesol.
Yes, the sunflower seeds, unsalted, roasted sunflower seeds, and you finish it. You have to trust me because I don't want to mess this up. I wanted to stay this for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to throw all this in here, and then I'll show you how at the end you just fold it in,
Exactly.
and it's beautiful. And it's going to fill this whole bowl with 1 cup couscous.
C'est incroyable.
C'est pas magnifique ça? C'est bon, hein?
Impeccable. Vraiment formidable.
Eh ben,
C'est
bien.
formidable.
Ça fait plaisir que tu sois là.
Merci, moi aussi, ça me fait plaisir
Ok.
d'être avec toi.
Alors, on va leur dire bon appétit?
Et oui, mais moi je vais manger ça.
Voilà. Bon appétit!
Bon appétit.
Okay, because I just wanted you to see how it's done at the end. I just want to show you. Je voulais vous montrer une fois que c'est tout absorbé. So,
Ah oui,
regardez.
c'est incroyable.
voyez?
Incroyable, mais c'est très rapide.
C'est rapide et le couscous est déjà tout prêt. Regarde, tu le vois.
Oh, formidable.
It's already moist and wonderful and it will then il va absorber all the flavors, toutes les bonnes, je sais pas comment dire,
Les éléments
qu'on va mettre dedans. Donc maintenant, on met ça,
comme ça entièrement.
Oh. Voilà, maintenant c'est fini. On n'a plus rien à faire. Yeah, because people say, no, maybe you made a mistake, you mean you have to boil, no. And that's what's wonderful during the summer. You don't want to have to boil water even, right? So there is no heat or anything. Vas-y, tu le mets. Vas-y. Voilà. On va le... regarde ça que c'est beau. Oh, que c'est beau.
C'est vraiment magnifique.
C'est beau, hein.
C'est de belles... Tu sais, c'est un plat très généreux.
Oui. Et puis, la couleur, c'est méditerranéen.
Absolument,
Ça, c'est magnifique.
absolument.
Et alors, après,
À la fin, tu mets ça.
à la fin, c'est-à-dire, j'aime le mettre quand même pour que ça donne le goût.
D'accord, ok.
So, at the end, I put fresh. Oh, que ça sent bon. Que ça sent bon. Oh, mais regarde, toute le saladier entier, the whole bowl. And you saw me. You saw how I did 1 cup.
Combien tu mets?
Je crois
Une poignée?
une petite poignée, je me rappelle.
Ah
pas.
oui.
Voilà.
Oh, mais c'est fort.
Voilà. On va se le manger, hein? Allez. Oh, on est content. Mais vraiment, les gens n'en reviennent pas.
C'est incroyable, regardez ça. Comme c'est beau.
c'est beau.
Magnifique. Les couleurs
Les
sont
couleurs méditerranéennes.
extraordinaires.
Romantico. Walking the streets of Palermo. Welcome. Oh my God, look at all these. Beautiful. This is the Temple of Segesta. And we are in the top of the world here in Sicilia. This is so magnificent. This is before even our program begins on Sunday, and we're filled with the Mediterranean. So excited.
Okay, so today, my rustic savory galette. These are so easy and wonderful to make that the easy thing to do is make a bunch of these crusts and then decide on the topping. Caramelized onion, spinach, basil, tomatoes, little goat cheese, whatever you'd like. But the basic is what I'm going to show you and how easy and delicious it is. So all it is 3/4 cups whole white wheat, which is a very light flour, but it's just in the way that it's milled that makes it so light, but it still has the whole grain fiber of a whole wheat flour. So 3/4 cups plus 1 tablespoon. It's pretty exact because I've done this so many times and I don't actually measure in weight, which I don't have time to do. So I do it just this way. Also 3/4 cup whole white wheat flour plus 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons olive oil, extra virgin, 1, 2, 1/8 of a teaspoon, really just a pinch of salt, so half of a 1/4 teaspoon there, and then 1/3 of a cup of white wine. And look what happens. There it is. Here's the dough. And it's just unbelievable. Depending on how many you want to do. I mean, sometimes I double the recipe. Sometimes I just do 1 by 1. It doesn't matter. And there you got it. You have this beautiful dough that you then will put over a little bit of, I made one already, with a little flour. And you just, look how easily, and beautifully you can handle it. It doesn't even stick. So I will let you keep on doing this. What the idea is, you are going to spread this, maybe to about a thickness, oh, let's see, a little bit more than this. They're not going to be big, it's just going to be wonderful little appetizers. I'm going to slice in little thin wedges. I'm going to put the topping on it, and then you simply fold the edges and put it in the oven. And savory rustic galette for you.
Taste beautiful olive oil. Look at this sight. Look at this beautiful sight.
It is the best.
You know, it's written by John.
La isola
Sì.
si chiama San Vitolo Capo.
San Vitolo Capo. Che bello.
Don't forget,
Sì.
San Vitolo Capo. Is it famous for the couscous?
È vero?
Sì, molto famoso. Couscous.
So, zucchini is grande. They're huge zucchini, and they really are a mixture between zucchini and cucumber. And they love to cook with them, but they also love to just boil them with a little lemon, and it's wonderful for digestion. That's what I understand.
I'm so excited because it has been I've been wanting to show you how to make my vegan rustic strawberry galette, but I don't know why, I just didn't get around to it. So hey, today a little red lipstick to go with our strawberries. Good. Okay, so the first thing I will do is make my galette, which is so simple. And can you believe it? I already forgot my cup, measuring cup. Okay. So all it is 1 cup of whole wheat pastry flour, and I hope I'm filming. Oh God, it's not. Anyway, 1 cup of whole wheat pastry flour, 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar. Try to make it organic so that it's truly vegan. 1/4 cup of olive oil, organic virgin, extra virgin olive oil, and 1/4 cup white wine. How beautiful is that? And that's it. And that's my galette dough. To put it in this processor. Wow. I don't know if you can tell already, but look at this beautiful thing. Can't stop the feeling. This is my pie song. Anytime I make pie, not anytime, but especially in the summer, I made my peach pie with it, and I love it. It makes me happy. So here it is. I put a little bit of flour on top so that my fingers are not sticky, but look at it. Oh, I hope it's filming. If not, what can I do? So I'm going to spread it, and you'll see how beautifully it's spread. No need to freeze or chill or any of that. Look at this. In my body. And it makes not a big pie, but it's just lovely. And what's nice about it is it's rustic, which means it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, the more imperfect it is, the more gorgeous it will be. So here's my dough that I just spread. You saw how fast that was. And I am going to, and again I forgot. Talk about a disaster, but then you get to see what it is I do in my kitchen. This is for real. Here's the topping, which will be organic unsweetened applesauce. Very, this one is from Vermont. I don't know if I brought it here. Just a lovely, very simple, just apples, basically. 2 tablespoons of almond meal or almond powder to give it that buttery richness without any of that saturated fat. a little bit of pure vanilla extract. I think it's a half a teaspoon to give it a little bit more flavor. And that's it. I just mix this. Okay. It is unbelievable. I used to make this galette non-vegan. Delicious. I kept it on the Cuisinicity, but it doesn't need to be. And it's in many ways a little simpler. So it's just surprisingly rich and just tasty and buttery is for lack of a better word. So you just spread that wonderful custard, let's call it. Hey, why not? Okay. And then, God, I forgot everything. There's one more thing I just realized I needed to put, but you'll see. Not yet. I'll go get it. Then fresh strawberries on top, and the uglier the better because it will look rustic. It's not ugly. It's going to look gorgeous. I'll take a picture. In fact, there's one on the website, and I did it this quickly. So you kind of just make sure that they're spread around equally. I mean, you could make it much more beautiful if you want, but I usually am running around or dancing around. Dance, dance, dance. So what I forgot is a tablespoon of granulated sugar. That I'm just going to spread on top like this, just a little bit. You notice how much sugar there is in here? There's a quarter cup of the in the dough of the confectioner sugar, and a tablespoon on top. And what I do is I make a little border all around. Look how pretty. It's just beautiful. And look at that. And I'm going to bake it in a hot oven. And there you have it.
Catherine, thank you so much for all those great demos and those recipes inspired by Sicily. They all looked incredible. And now I'm going to read through our chat and Q&A and have you answer some questions from everyone. We'll do as many as we can before the end of our webinar. So starting with our Q&A, we have a question, I think, about your first recipe with the pasta. Could you substitute mushrooms for anything?
Oh, yes. I've made it with zucchini, with peppers. This is the beauty of these kinds of recipes, that you can add so much. As long as you get the idea of what's behind it, you can substitute anything. Somebody also asked, can you use kale or arugula for the greens? Absolutely. For the mushrooms, again, I love mushrooms. I use mushrooms all the time, but I also throw in squash, whatever this is in season. You cannot go wrong with this recipe. It's one of those, throw everything in there, and the more the merrier.
That's great. Our next question for Teresa, yes, everyone will be sent the recipes in an email after this webinar. Our next question about the recipes, could you talk about the potato with mint that you ate?
To tell you the truth, I don't even remember what it's called now. We tasted it on the market. Sarah might be able to. I can look it up, or you can, I forget what it's called. I can look it up. But it was a potato croquette, like mashed potato with fresh mint in there. And it was very simple. It was, just finger food. Let me see if I can try to remember while you get to the next question.
Great. When you're making the galette dough, do you need to add the wine? Someone wants to know.
When I'm doing what?
When you're making that galette dough, do you need to add wine?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? No. Somebody asked, can you replace it with lemon juice? Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't tried, because there's nothing wrong with a little white wine, and it gives it that wonderful butteriness and richness and consistency that I haven't found with anything else. I played a lot with this recipe, and I don't know how I came up with the wine at one point, but I considered that a moment. So I would not replace it with anything.
Great. Sounds delicious. Our next question is almond meal.
Somebody answered, katsili, the little potatoes. It's croquette.
Our next question is almond meal the same as almond flour?
You know, yes, I think so, because I've seen it be called both. And to tell you the truth, sometimes rather than just get almond meal, I prefer to even get a few almonds and ground them, and it gives it even more richness. So almond meal, almond flour, your own ground almonds, can't go wrong.
Great. Do you have a substitution for someone who doesn't eat refined sugar?
Doesn't eat refined sugar. Okay, so first of all, we're talking for desserts. Yeah, oftentimes, and it depends what recipe. And again, look on the website. I don't use any sugar. I used medjool dates a lot. And sweetened applesauce. I use the sweetness of the bananas when I make banana bread. Sometimes you don't need to add any sugar. You can use honey. I have used beet sugar, but you know, I mean, it's expensive, and I try to keep it not expensive. But yeah, natural, wholesome fruit will do the trick.
Great. Okay, we have a few more questions about the wine. The first one is, which white wine do you use? Do you have a particular type?
Any white wine, whatever there is left over, if there is left over. But again, nothing fancy, just white wine. I don't love cooking wines that are at the supermarket. The reason why, so any table wine is what I'm saying. And the reason why I don't like to use the cooking wines that you find next to the vinegars is I found out early on when I was creating recipes that they add salt to those cooking wines. And the reason they do that is because they wanted to make sure that people who had drinking problems couldn't just go and get it at the supermarket. So don't use cooking wine because there's a ton of sodium in there you don't need nor want to taste. So any table wine. Excuse me.
No, and that's a little bit related to our next question. Could you use red wine if you don't have white?
God, no. In this galette, why would you want a red galette? No.
Okay. If you have a wheat allergy, is there another flour you could use in that dough?
You know, there is Bob's Red Mill has a beautiful flour that's called, supposedly you can substitute for any flour you use. I tried it once, not for this galette, but it was a disaster. But it might have been because of the particular recipe I was using. So maybe worth trying, but I don't know.
Okay. Our next question, yes, there is a recording of this event that we will put on our YouTube page. I'm going to switch over to the chat here and see if we have some more questions.
Are your recipes mostly vegan, Catherine? It's interesting because this website goes along, it's about, the website is maybe 5 years old, but my recipes are from years and years of cooking. And I didn't start out vegan. We didn't eat red meat from a long time ago, but I would use chicken, fish, dairy. And more with becoming more aware of the needs of our planet and the wellness of our fellow creatures, I decided to do more and more plant-based. So in the last year or two, they've really become more and more vegan. They're not strictly vegan. And a vegan diet is absolutely wonderful. Wonderful for health, wonderful for the planet, wonderful for our fellow animals. And as long as you have a B12 supplement, it's absolutely fine. But having said that, as long as you use wholesome ingredients, veggies, fruits, whole grains, nuts and seeds and beans and legumes, mostly plants, you can have a Mediterranean diet that includes some meat. some chicken, some fish, a flexitarian, a vegetarian. The idea is it leaves room for so many different cultures and to enjoy mostly plants, but not solely plants. But yes, a vegan diet can sustain you beautifully.
Great. This is an interesting question too. Is there a type of food or way of cooking that you think is disappearing that you hope to reintroduce?
That's a beautiful question, and I have to think about it. And sure enough, it's from Ron DeSantis, who is a chef. He could we could use him here. He is amazing. Ron, do you have any? Can you help me here? I don't have an answer. Maybe you can type in something, but I haven't thought of anything, not yet. I love the question, Ron. Thank you.
And then we also have a question. You did not make hummus today, but someone wants your opinion on hummus. If you didn't have garbanzo beans, is there another type of bean you would use to make hummus?
Yes, fava beans are wonderful. Cannellini beans are wonderful. Any kind of beans, you just put, you grind them and put flavor and lemon juice and garlic and basil, walnuts. You can go with it and make it your own. So yes, any kind of beans.
Great, thank you so much. Those seem to be all of our questions about your recipes and what you cooked, unless anyone else will leave a minute if anyone else has a few more questions.
Sure. I'm still thinking about that question. A type of food, a way of cooking that is disappearing, which you would like to reintroduce? I'm about to volunteer in this beautiful program here in New Haven that's called Sanctuary Kitchen, where refugees from all over the world have come to resettle here in New Haven, and they cook such magnificent traditional foods from all over the world. And I'm going to learn from them because I just want to volunteer and just get my hands on their beautiful tradition. And then maybe I'll be able to answer that question.
That sounds exciting. Okay, how long do you let the soup sit out before you can put it in the fridge?
When it's until it's cool. You don't want it to be warm even. So however long that takes.
Could you use a white pasta sauce instead of red sauce in that first recipe?
And it depends what you mean by white pasta sauce. Because if it's store-bought, I can't imagine it would be very healthy. But you don't need to put any pasta sauce. You can do it just with the flavors of the vegetables, which I have done before as well. Just throw in some tomatoes, fresh tomatoes in there. It's wonderful because when they break down, they just give their juices and it almost becomes caramelized. So not a white sauce per se, but no tomato sauce at all. That's good.
Yeah. What most inspires you to create a new recipe?
What most inspires me? Oh my gosh. It depended over the years. Over the years, when the kids were little, I really wanted to recreate the foods that they loved, that their friends would love, like chicken cutlets and pizza and all that, but do it in a way that was sneaky and that was really healthy. So there, I did a lot of my early recipes were a lot of those. I called it stealth mom recipes, where I just found a way. Oh my God. And one of the things that I created way back when was a crème au chocolat, like a chocolate mousse, but in there, and it's on the website. It's so good, ridiculously good and ridiculously nutritious. In there, I put black beluga lentils, just from a can. And you don't know they're there. You just put it in a blender. It's bittersweet chocolate, black beluga lentils, tofu. I haven't made it in a while. A little coconut milk and medjool dates to sweeten it. And you blend this. It is, the consistency is like, it's just heavenly. And I have tricked a few Frenchies with that. So in those days, it was mostly for my children. As I evolved, it was to recreate things from my culture that I loved, but make it meatless or with less meat. Then, there was a time when I really wanted to create a vegan burger, the kind that you could just bite into, not the kind that were just kind of mushy, you knew it was a bean patty. That took me quite a few months to create, but I did. My vegan burger is delicious, so that was my incentive. And recently, again, more and more creating vegan recipes, both, again, for the environment, for health, and for my girl, Natalia. One of my daughters is vegan. Actually, several of them are becoming more and more plant-based, but she is strictly vegan, and I wanted her to enjoy everything just like the others. So I created vegan desserts and also pancakes. So yeah, it's a big question.
Oh, that's great. We have a lot more questions coming in. One from Margaret is, do you have a favorite olive oil?
Oh my goodness. When we went to Sicily, and by the way, I have on my website a blog that's called Back from Sicily. If you want to go look at more of these videos and you'll see what I'm talking about here, you can. We went to this orchard in Agrigento, I think it was, and that was, not only did it have olives, where we had an olive oil, it's called Olio Taibi. The Taibi owner was there to greet us, and we ate in the middle of this field of lemon trees and orange trees, and I swear the olive oil has all this in it. The soil must have the olives, the orange, the lemon. So Olio Taibi is just, and you can have it, I think you can get it in Boston, I think, and certainly online. But many, as long as it's extra virgin, cold pressed olive oil, I love it.
Great. This is sort of related. What new cooking ideas did you get when you were on the tour in Sicily?
Oh my God. I love these questions, almost like I planted them. There's one, and I forgot, I think they are called panzanelle. They are chickpea fritters. We learned this at this beautiful estate of Anna Tascalanza. And and this is a typical street food, which is made out of chickpea flour, water, very simple, chickpea flour, water, olive oil, and they fry it. It reminded me of a recipe that is typical of Oran, North Africa, the town where I was born. It's known from it. It's called kalentika. And kalentika, what it is a chickpea type of polenta. It's like polenta, but it's made of chickpea flour, water, olive oil, salt, and whatever spice you want in there. And then you bake it and you cut it in squares. I don't fry it. So it inspired me to remember kalentika and recreate it. And oh my goodness, it's wonderful because it's moist, delicious, filled with protein. So you use that as your basis, and then you throw a bunch of sauteed vegetables on there, and you have yourself a meal. So yeah, in Sicily, that was like, oh my gosh, why have I forgotten about this? So that was kalentika and many others, and they will come back to me after we say goodbye.
A few substitution questions for your recipes. Could you substitute prunes for the dates when you use dates in your desserts?
I think so. I just haven't tried. One thing I don't love about prunes is that you taste them when you don't necessarily want to. I make apple scones, for example, and my apple scones are just yum. And I use the dates, the medjool dates there. And you taste them, but they don't overpower the scone. I think a prune might. So
good to know.
Yeah.
I believe you may have answered this in writing in the chat, but could you talk about using quinoa instead of couscous?
Okay, quinoa I adore, but in that particular Mediterranean couscous salad, if you wanted to use quinoa, you can, but you cannot do it in this way without cooking. It will stay dry and crunchy and it will not cook like the couscous does. So you will have to pre-cook it and then, you know, adapt it. But yeah, quinoa is absolutely wonderful. I have also on my website, a basic recipe portion where I say, you know, exactly how much water and how many minutes you should cook quinoa and farro and various whole grains, because sometimes, you know, you can end up mushy. So I have my basic quinoa recipe. If you want to use that, it never fails, and it's just not mushy, just every grain is separate. So use that and then add all the ingredients for the couscous salad.
Great. Someone would like to know, do you have a cookbook?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, we have another question. A lot of people who have home gardens have more zucchini than they can handle this time of year. Do you have any ideas for zucchini? She noticed that in your pasta recipe, you said you could use zucchini.
So first of all, anytime you can throw in your zucchini in the pasta fagioli, please do. The other is, if sometimes, like in our garden, we get zucchinis that are so huge, you don't even know what to do with them. I love to stuff them. And I love to stuff them with what I have on my website called TVP meat sauce. It's like a bolognese sauce, but without meat. And I use TVP, textured vegetable protein. Sounds awful, but oh my God, it's delicious. I do that. I also love to do like a fricassé, which is, a fricassé is just something, you know, you throw in vegetables in the oven and just let them cook and become almost caramelized. So if you have lots of zucchinis, here's what I recommend. First, saute a bunch of onions with a nice amount of olive oil. Here I would say, you know, at least a quarter cup olive oil. Let them start to brown, not caramelize completely yet. Then you're done with the cooking. You throw that with your diced zucchinis and some fresh tomatoes and whatever other vegetable you want. But if zucchini is your problem, you want to use them, do that. Salt, fresh thyme, rosemary, throw it in the oven for a good 60 minutes, maybe a little less for a zucchini. And every so often just mix it. It comes out so ridiculously caramelized, delicious, so good. And then you throw that over calentica, you have yourself a whole meal, or pasta.
Oh, yum. We have many requests for all these different recipes we've mentioned on your website. So I think what we should do is we'll send everyone a link to Cuisinicity as well as Oldways, and you can search for the recipes that you're looking for.
And they have some cooking videos on there too. Don't forget your delicious zucchini bread. Oh, cutie, my Natalia, one of my daughters, said, don't forget to mention your zucchini bread and my zucchini cake. Oh, for the zucchinis? Oh my God. Thank you, Natalia. I make a chocolate zucchini cake that is, I had made it non-vegan before, now I make it vegan, where I use 3 cups of grated zucchini, fresh grated zucchini, raw. And I throw it in this chocolate batter. It's amazing to me how they just dissolve in there. You don't even see any green specks when it bakes. You see it when it's raw, but when it bakes, you don't see. And what you get from those zucchini is this amazing moistness and of the chocolate cake. So yes, thank you, Natalia. I forgot about that. Is TVP like seitan? No, not at all. TVP is like, it looks like ground, like crumbs, like bread crumbs. It's dry and you have to rehydrate it before you use it. And it tastes like ground turkey. It's really amazing.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for taking these questions today and for all your demos and telling us about Sicily and your background.
My pleasure.
It's been wonderful.
My pleasure. And thank you everybody for all these wonderful questions. Can I look through them afterwards so that I can just you know, dig in and think about answering more?
We can send you the chat. Absolutely.
Okay.
And this is where I come in and say, if you could only hear that rousing applause saying, thank you so much. Your enthusiasm, know-how, it's palpable. And you have just brought us such great joy. Can we do it again?
My
Can we do
pleasure.
it again?
I'd love to.
Let's do it again. It would be
Let's do
wonderful.
it
Thank you
again.
very much. We will send a link to your website, send the recipes, and let's all stay in touch. Thank you very, very much to Andrea Burns, Eat Friendly Boston, to Hannah and Sarah and the phenomenal team at Oldways.
Yes.
Mille grazie. Thank you so much.
Grazie.
Enjoy the day, everybody. You've made ours. Thank you.